Hi, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. My name is Amy and I'm a hairdresser and makeup artist who specialises in bridal hair and makeup. That's why today I wanted to create a video talking about the tips and advice that I would have for brides who are yet to get married. So yeah, this video is going to run through all of the things which I would recommend and just bear in mind when you're planning your wedding, and also tips and advice I can give you for things on the day relating to hair and makeup. I got married last November and I feel like now I've been through it, I can definitely sort of relate more to the brides that I'm working with. And for anything which I recommend in this video or talk about, I will link everything in the description box below if you want to check it out afterwards. The first thing which I would recommend that you do if you're planning your wedding is I would get together with your partner and have a real clear think exactly what you want the vision for your wedding to be. And it's probably even worth making like some kind of vision board or like a mood board and start to see whose styles that you like, and see if you can come across any suppliers that you just love their work. When you do get engaged, one of the things which happens is all of your friends, family members will usually recommend like their suppliers and people that they've had for their own weddings, which is amazing, but just make sure that the style of work which they create is one that you would want for your wedding. So the second piece of advice which I've got for you is all to do with sort of your hair, your makeup and the dress. I'd recommend that once you found a hairdresser and a makeup artist whose style of work that you like, I would recommend that you then go and get your dress or go dress shopping. And I would say, for me, I went for a dress that I did not think I would choose. So beforehand, I had an idea of the sort of thing I was going to go for in my head. When I actually tried those kinds of dresses on, I just didn't like them. So once I chose my dress, I could then choose the style of hair that I went for. And this is why for you, if you can get the dress first, you can then choose a hairstyle which you want around the dress. Whereas if you go for something, if you kind of have these things set in your mind before, and then you end up going for a totally different style of dress, you may change the style of hair that you want. And this is why if you've had your hair trial before you've got the dress, things might change and you might have to do another trial. It'll just waste your time. So you're better to just get the dress first, and then you can sort of think about hairstyles which would sit well with that. And then go away and find as many inspiration pictures that are similar ready to give to your hair and makeup artist. And the reason why I find this is really important is because as much as someone can describe something that they want, I find unless you've got a visual indication of that, it's really, really hard as a hair and makeup artist to work on someone describing something, because you can't clearly see the vision of what they want. And nowadays it's so easy to access photos off Pinterest, Instagram. I would recommend that you go away and really find pictures of exactly what you want. Another piece of advice I would give to you is, if for example you want, I don't know, like a curly bun with a plait in it, or I don't know, like a half up, half down, I would recommend that you book somebody who you can see on their Instagram that they can do that style, and one that you're happy with and you would love, just to make things easier, because a lot of artists will post pictures of their specialized styles on their pages. So I would recommend that you narrow it down to maybe two styles. Well, two styles with hair, definitely one with makeup, and then you can once it's all done, you can see how it all feels and then just make tweaks to it. The third piece of advice which I want to talk about is, when should you wash your hair? This is for the bride or the bridesmaids. To be honest, my advice to any of my brides, anyone I work with, is wash it whenever you want. I've had some clients before who, they want to wash their hair on their wedding day. And if this is you, then I would just do it. If you feel more comfortable with it being washed on the day, then just do it. I'd say as a general rule for most hair types, so normal, anything that's thicker, most hair types other than very fine hair, you could probably get away with washing it the day before, blasting it all off so it's smooth, and then by the next day it'll be fully dry and it'll just be easy to style into place. But I would recommend for you, have a word with your hairdresser and see what they advise. I advise this, but everyone's different, and I find unless someone has got super fine hair, those people who need to wash it on the day will know that that's when they want to do it. The one thing that I would say is, have a word with all of your bridal party, and I wouldn't advise anybody to not have their hair washed within a day or two of the wedding. So this could be like the day before, or the day of the wedding. I would say no more than 2 days before the wedding, because then the hair can get a little bit too dirty. Well, you could put dry shampoo in it, so it might be fine. I once turned up at a wedding where a girl, bless her, she hadn't washed her hair for the whole week because she was like, oh, I heard that, you know, if it's not washed it lasts better and it looks better. But because it was quite dirty, I did, bless, have to go get her to wash it again. So I would say anything within a day or two of the wedding, but I wouldn't leave it any more than 3 days. And that depends on, that's only if your hair type, you know, can last a good couple of days without a wash and it still isn't greasy or too dirty. Yeah, my advice would be just to wash it whenever you want. And if you're unsure, ask your hairdresser. Everyone's different. I mean, this is just my advice, but you know, some people may prefer it done the day before, so just discuss this with your hairdresser. The fourth piece of advice which I've got for you is, so round your wedding, you want your skin to be the best that it can be. Now, I know most brides around their wedding will be really on it with the skincare, more than usual. The one piece of advice I can give to you if you really want your skin to be good on the day, I would recommend that you make sure that you get 2 to 3 litres of water in your diet every single day, because this really does make a difference of making sure that your skin is nice and clear. The fifth piece of advice which I've got for you is all related to your wedding morning. I would recommend that when you are planning your wedding morning, you make it as easy and stress-free as possible. And in turn, I would make sure that you give yourself and your bridal party plenty of time to get ready in the morning. And honestly, I've had brides in the past who've been like, right, I want everything done, my hair, my makeup, as late as possible because I want everything to last. I will honestly tell you that once you've had your hair and makeup professionally done, a lot of the time it will last all day, all night, and in some cases the next day. So don't worry too much about being done as late as possible near to the wedding time, because once hair and makeup is done by a professional, it will stay all day and all night. The reason why I also say this is because I've done weddings in the past where they have ran behind, and there is nothing more stressful than that happening. And honestly, I can't even stress to you the difference in the wedding morning when, you know, everyone's ready, they've got an hour, you know, you've got a free hour at the end just to relax and just have a drink and have a laugh with the girls, and you know, you can then get some really nice photos with the photographer. I mean, for me personally, with my wedding bookings, once a bride is booked with me, I always send them a time plan of the morning, and I always give at minimal an hour before the wedding. So say if the wedding's at 2, my time plan will make sure that they are all done by 1. And usually with this time plan, I will never do the bride last. It's always, I don't know, like a flower girl or a bridesmaid last. And that is because you just don't want to be rushing the bride. For my wedding, I'll give you a bit of an example of this. My wedding was at 2 p.m. and I did, obviously, like, I had a couple of hair and makeup artists because I had 14 bridesmaids, the most bridesmaids, so it had to be super organised. When I was planning the morning, I made sure that all of the girls, we were all ready by 12, and this is only so that we could have time at the end to get some photos, everyone could relax, have a drink. So my advice to you is just give yourself plenty of time in that wedding morning, and once you booked hair and makeup artists, discuss with them sort of a little bit of a time frame and what they would recommend. And if you've got a bigger bridal party like mine, it may be worth getting a couple of hair and makeup artists on board so that no one is rushed. Everyone, you know, everyone's got enough time to be done at a decent time, and just so nobody's rushing at the end. The sixth piece of advice which I would give to you is, again, related to the wedding morning. Make that morning as stress-free as possible, and if you can stay over at the venue and just be in one place, I would recommend that you do it. I've done weddings where we've been in one place, and I've also done weddings where we've had to move, which can happen a lot with a lot of venues, because a lot of venues will say to you, you know, you can get in your wedding room from 10:30 or whatever. I would say if you've got a venue booked where you can stay the night before and be at the venue in the morning, I would recommend that you do that. It just eliminates the waste of time of having to move. I know this isn't always an option for some venues, and it's absolutely fine when you do have to move, but you just have to always incorporate this into the time plan in the morning. The seventh piece of advice which I've got for you is, again, related to the wedding morning. Now, I know that this actually isn't going to be an option for most people, but I would recommend that if you've got young children in your bridal party, so I would say anything from ages, well, up to probably age 7, say. I would recommend if you've got young children who you think are going to get bored in the morning, I would recommend that you get them to come a little bit later. So maybe, if that's possible, get the children to come maybe just before you get married, an hour or two before. Only because I've done wedding mornings before where the kids have been there all morning and they've got really bored, and you know, they can sort of, they're fed up. And it sounds, I've not got any children myself. I know that if I did, I would probably try and get them to come a little bit later, and it's just so that you can relax and so that they don't get bored. The 8th piece of advice which I've got for you, again, it's related to the wedding morning. I would recommend that if it's possible, and I know that this isn't always possible, but if you can have your bridal hair and makeup done in a quieter room where there's not as many people, you know, and you've got no distractions, I would definitely recommend that you do this. From being a hair and makeup artist, for me personally, I find that if I'm doing a bride and there's a calmer atmosphere with not as many people around and the bride is really still and I can just concentrate and get in the zone to do my best work, I would definitely recommend that you try and do this. Because I've got brides ready, well, I've done it loads of times. I've got brides ready before in like a really, really busy room where, you know, you're halfway through doing the makeup and they're looking up, they're trying to talk to people. You know, the kids can be like jumping all over the mum, you know, and it's definitely harder to sort of get in the zone without these distractions. I don't know whether it's just me personally, but I find that when it's a much more quieter, calmer atmosphere, I feel like well, to be honest, my standard of work, I'll always try for it to be the best of the best. But I find that when my client is still and, you know, relaxed, I can really get in the zone and just do my best work. So I know that this isn't always possible for everybody. You know, your venue might not have the 2 rooms, you might have a lot of bridesmaids around, and if you've got all get ready in the same room, but just my advice to you is just stay as still as possible, and when you're having your wedding hair and makeup done, just feel really calm and relaxed. And honestly, like, for the hair and makeup artist, without having moving and distraction, it just makes it so much easier. And I don't know whether this is just me or is it, you know, if there's any hair and makeup artists watching, does anyone else find this? But that is one piece of advice that I would give to any of my brides. You know, the more still and more relaxed you are, the more in the zone I can get, I don't know. The 9th thing which I want to recommend is, once you've had your hair and makeup and if you've decided what style you're going to have on the day, discuss with your hair and your makeup artist if there's anything which you need to bear in mind to have with you on the day for touch-ups or anything that's going to help keep the style in place when you're having your photos, and just to make sure everything lasts all day. The thing which I always recommend for my brides that they're going to need is definitely your lipstick, because this is something which, as you're talking, as you're eating, it's going to come off a little bit, so just keep that with you to top up throughout the day. Another thing for my own brides is, if they're having the hair down on the day, I would usually recommend that they keep like a comb in their bag, and maybe even a little can of like a natural hold hairspray to keep with them through the day, just in case the hair moves when they're hugging people, you know, how when you're having your photos, if it's windy. It's definitely worth just making sure you're clear on these things before the day. The 10th thing which I want to talk about in this video is, I would recommend on your wedding day that you keep with you a small tissue. Maybe tuck it down a bra or keep it in a crease somewhere. Just so that if you get emotional through the ceremony or the speeches, you then get rid of your tears without smudging all of your makeup. Now, if you cry on the wedding day, the way to catch these tears is to dab them with the tissue. Just literally press underneath your eye so that when your tears come down kind of thing, they're caught in the tissue, which will absorb them up. What I would advise that you don't do is wipe. Now, this is because this is just going to wipe the product away from your face, whereas if you dab, it literally softly catches them, and with dabbing the makeup, it won't sort of move any of it, it'll just sort of press it into the skin. My 11th piece of advice, which again, it's all related to the wedding morning, I would advise that you make sure you've packed a sewing kit. Now, I've worked 4 weddings in my career where in the morning one of the bridesmaids' dresses has broke, and I've actually had to sew 4 bridesmaids into the dresses. I've never had to do a bride, and I hope I never have to do a bride or a bridesmaid again. But on each of those mornings, the one thing which honestly saved the day was having a sewing kit and sewing that bridesmaid into their dress. And this is why, obviously, you don't want it to happen, but make sure that on the run-up, your bridesmaids, everyone sort of tried the dresses on before, so that on the wedding day, there's no surprises. And even when they have tried them on, there can still be, surprises where the dress, you know, something happens like that. So my advice to you, just keep a sewing kit, so if anything does like that happen, you've got it there and no one needs to worry. Anyway, my 12th piece of advice is just to enjoy all your appointments and all the run-ups to your wedding. Honestly, from having my own wedding, I've realised that your wedding day is literally just one day, but all of the appointments, all of the planning, all the things you do before and do afterwards. I mean, me and my husband, Tom, feels weird saying husband, but yeah, we went away afterwards, and that for me was really good because we had that time together afterwards and it was part of the day, and we managed to spend some time together because the wedding run-up was actually a bit crazy and a bit busy, and the day goes really quickly as well. It's only one day, but having that time together afterwards was really nice for us. So for you, I would just recommend that you just enjoy every single moment and just have the best day. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching my video, and I hope that the things which I've talked about in this video have helped you. If they have, then I would love it if you could leave a comment in the box below, and I want to thank you for watching my video today. I'm going to be planning to do some more videos similar to this one related to hair and makeup this year, so if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.